we can share it with folks that aren't able to be here. So I think this is academic. Janelle, are these your slides?
These are my slides. It's a little bit out of order than that we put in, but that's okay with us if somebody is mixed it up. Hi, everybody. I'm Janelle Clothier. I'm the Executive Director of Undergraduate Education here at American University. Many of you, hopefully, have been receiving emails from me over the course of the summer, encouraging you to reach out to your academic advisor and to talk about the process of getting registered for your fall courses. So I have just a little bit of content that I'm going to share with you because there's a lot of really great information to come from my colleagues that are on this call. But essentially, I wanted to share that if you've gone through the process of visiting other schools, you may know that there are different models of academic advising. And here at American University, our model is that we have full-time professional academic advisors. We have at least 40 professionals that have gone to graduate school. Some have earned their PhDs to work in this space because what they're committed to, and I've done this job, twice or two times in my career, is the people that go into this type of work are really committed to helping you reach your professional, academic, personal, and career goals. And I started my career in academic advising because I loved being a college student so much. I went away and thought I was going to do something else, and I just wanted to be back on campus with students. And the opportunity that you're going to have with your advisor to build a lasting relationship over your next 4 years here at American University, maybe 5 if you decide to stay along for a master's degree, um, can be one of the most important relationships you build on campus. This is a person that will have a caseload that's less than national average. So I've worked at big state schools where I've had 600 students assigned to me. I was not able to develop a good lasting relationship, and I lasted in that job for 1 year because my prior experience was working with honor students at a big state school, but I grew to know my students really well. I'll share a personal anecdote, but one of them was just here 2 weeks ago. This I want to call him a young man, but he's now 40 years old. Came to visit me last week with his wife. And I have known this person since he was an 18-year-old who didn't know what they were going to do with their life and helped guide him through a Fulbright scholarship. Those are the kinds of experiences that you can have. So it makes me so happy that AU's caseloads are lower than the national average. Now, the national average is around 300. We're between like 130 to 180, depending on your major. Your academic advisor, who I'm hoping many of you have already talked with, is going to be a school affiliated with your school or college where your major lies. And we have kind of two different kinds of advising models. There's team-based, and that's in our COGAT School of Business and our School of International Service, where you may have worked with somebody over the summer and you think that's great, this is going to be my person. But if you want to meet with first available, or a friend of yours said, oh, I love this person, you have a choice within those team-based models. In the School of Communication, the College of Arts and Sciences, the School of Public Affairs, and the School of Education, you're going to have an assigned advisor. And it can be based on either your last name, your major. The schools and colleges determine that because, again, it's related to making sure we have good low case number or caseload numbers for your advisor. And I think I'm ready for my next slide, Miles. Um, so again, hopefully you all have been reading your AU email because that's where you would have found the information from me, maybe outreach from your advisor. If you haven't done that yet and you haven't registered, it's okay. We still have time. Our goal is we'd like for you to be registered by the 30th. So you have a couple days still to set up an appointment with an academic advisor, talk about your courses. But over the course of the summer, there might be things where you just want to touch base with your advisor. We work all summer. We don't get summer vacations like maybe your high school teachers did. Um, and there's my dog barking, sorry. Um, so things that you might meet with your advisor about this summer. If you've taken AP IB and you're anticipating your scores coming in July and maybe needing to make a course change, that would be a reason to talk with them this summer. If you're thinking about changing your major, oh, absolutely okay, but that's an opportunity where you can still have that conversation. If you're thinking about your classes or your wait list, or if you have questions about how to prepare for your classes, Nisha Ann is going to talk to you about a lot of that stuff further in our presentation. But all of our advisors are available through email. They can do virtual. If you're local, you could get an in-person appointment. I put a link in here to sort of the general websites for all the schools and colleges, but every school and college has a You Can Book Me site, which is what we use for scheduling student appointments. So I'm ready for our next slide, which is um, while you'll want to meet with your advisor when you're here on campus. So I think sometimes there's a perception that the only reason you would talk with your advisor is to pick your schedule and your classes for the subsequent semesters. Not necessarily true. We absolutely want you to do that. But you can also say, as I'm picking my classes, I'm thinking about studying abroad. I want to do an internship. I'm interested in research, thinking about adding a minor. Um, what can I do about pass fail classes? Different policies and things that, you have access to our academic regs. You probably don't want to read them. And that's where you can ask your academic advisor about the, questions that you might have. And what the research will show is we have better outcomes for our students that develop these relationships and meet with their advisors. They have the bandwidth to meet with you at a minimum 4 times over the course of each year. I would encourage more if you have questions, but it's a good place to start if you just don't know where to start. Check in with your academic advisor. And those are my slides, Miles, and I'm going to pass it off to who's next. And happy to answer questions when we get to the end.
That would be me, it looks like. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nisha Ann Green, and I'm the Senior Director for Academic Support here at AU. Um, I'm a comp rhet person, composition and rhetoric person, so I'm all about the rhetoric. So before I tell you all the things you need to know, I want to tell you why you should trust me. One, I've been doing this I've been here, what, 9 years, but I've been doing this for more than that. And my first job while I was in grad school was a writing center tutor. And I did it because I was trying to figure out my life. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. But long story short, I went to my first Writing Center conference, bit the bug, and now I've worked all sorts of jobs in academic support. So that's a little bit about why you should trust me in order to make sure that your student has free academic support. If you hear nothing else that I say tonight, hear that my team is dedicated to making sure that your student has free academic support for the entire time that they are here at AU. Next slide, Miles, please. Under my office, you'll see the Writing Center, academic coaching, supplemental instruction, peer-assisted student sessions, which we call PASS, the Quantitative Support Lab, and accountability groups. The Writing Center is just exactly what it sounds like, one-on-one consultations at any stage of the writing process in any discipline. All of my tutors, all of my Writing Center tutors are recommended by faculty members. They are interviewed by me, and they are also trained by me and my coordinator to make sure that at any part in the writing process, your student can come in and say, hey, I need some help. It could be, I just got a prompt and I'm not exactly sure where to start. Can someone help me brainstorm? Can someone help me make sure that I understand what this prompt is actually asking me to do? It could be, I am stuck. I've written this paper or I've written a couple pages. I'm not even sure what my thesis is, where my thesis is. Where does the thesis go again? They can help you with all of that. The only thing that the Writing Center tutors will not do is proofread or edit their work for them. We will teach you proofreading and editing strategies, but we will not do that for your student. Then we have academic coaching. Academic coaching is legit. Think of all those times that you have said, I wish that my kid would, manage their time well. Or why did you not submit that homework? Oh, I thought I had enough time. I ran out of time. Or you taking a look at their inbox, their email, and you're like, this is how you've got this organized? Well, the academic coaches are full-time professional staff, and their job is to help your student learn all of the quote unquote soft skills that they need to be able to manage the academic content that will be coming at them throughout their time at AU. Supplemental instruction, we call that SI. That is peer-led review sessions for all of the challenges and high enrollment courses. So what we do in that instance is we take students who have passed that particular course. It could be neuropsych, it could be anthropology, it could be econ, accounting, it could be stats, could be calculus. And we take that student, train them on, they know the course content because they've gotten that A and they have the faculty recommendation. But we take that student and we train them on how to become a tutor. And then what they do is they lead group sessions specifically in the course content as assigned to the professor that they took the class with. What we know is that when students engage with those SI leaders, the sooner that they do it, the higher the outcome is that they will at least have a C to pass that class, at a minimum a C. And that's with minimal engagement with the SI leader, because those SI leaders will also do like not just the course content, but hold review sessions for midterms and finals as well. Then we have PASS. PASS is similar to SI, but what we do is that we have individual sessions and group sessions as requested by your student. Your student has a month and a half when the semester starts to take a look at their syllabus and then send me a request via our intake service on the website and say, I want a tutor in, name a random class. I have a pool of tutors. And if I don't have a tutor for that class, I go out, I search for them, I get the recommendations, I train them, and then I pay for your student to have tutoring every week for as long as they want it or until the end of the semester. Then the Quant Lab. That is help with math, stats, and any data-based assignment. And it could be group sessions or individual sessions. We've got a particular lab for that. That lab is in the Don Myers building where the math department is. So they don't have to go outside of the math community and the math environment in order to get help with that particular math class. And then lastly, accountability groups. This is our newest project, and it is also the one that is like one of the most fun to me right now because it is created directly in response to what previous students have told us in the semester, in the transition survey that we do in the first year. So we ask students, what do you need? Tell us about your experience thus far. And those students told us that they wanted more accountability. They needed more accountability. And so my response to that was to create accountability groups. Those groups are structured peer spaces in order to keep our students motivated and on track with their academic goals. We've got two types of accountability groups. We've got general accountability groups, and then we also have writing accountability groups. Now, what's nice about it is that literally they self-select to be in that space for 90 minutes every week. I find the classroom to put them in. I have a peer leader in that class. And on certain weeks, we have guided workshops. So they can have a workshop on study skills, time management, any of those soft skills. And then in the writing accountability groups, they get workshops on writing skills. So developing a thesis statement, organizing, proofreading, and revising. We've done that so far for one semester, and I'm happy to say that we're going to continue to do it. And what we've realized with the small data set that we do have is that once they come that one time, we have an 80% chance of your student returning and coming back. And yes, I do bribe them with snacks and sometimes candy and coffee. Next slide, Miles. So above all things out, like academic support is free. It is included in the tuition. I'm seeing questions. I'm gonna try to answer the questions as best I can.
No, these are good, Nishi, and I got them.
Okay. Students who use our services earn higher grades and report increased confidence. We support all students and not just those who are struggling. Our programs are designed, as you can tell, to help students manage their time and their workload, to master difficult course material, and to also build positive long-term academic habits. I can't stress this last part enough, but being early and consistent with their use of academic support is key. Um, can I have the next slide, please? Okay. In terms of appointments, we've got online appointments and in-person appointments. I'm also this summer piloting some e-appointments, which means that they can drop a paper off virtually, but they have to follow very specific questions in order to use this model. So they have to like use a color-coded chart that I provide to highlight problem areas in their writing, and how also highlight areas where they think that they have done really well, highlight their thesis statement and stuff like that, and then give us 24 to 48 hours for a tutor to then respond to them in a same structured way, with giving them constructive feedback. We also, students book their appointments and they register on WC Online, and you can book me. And I know I'm giving you a lot of information, so don't like be rushed to retain it all, because you'll see me again once you drop your student off for orientation, and they will get all of this again from me and my staff during orientation. We stress being accessible to all students. And again, we encourage students to start early. Our tutoring starts the second week of classes, so they literally have no excuse. And we go all the way down to the end of finals. Um, all of our peer tutors are recommended by faculty members who they've worked with. They are interviewed and they receive training before they are considered a tutor. All of our tutors are also paid. And not for nothing, it looks good on their resume. And if they're just like me, then they end up running a learning center at some point in life. Um, Next slide, please. Coming this fall, we're bringing back our workshops. Our workshop offerings for fall will be four different topics: how to start your semester off strong, how to manage your time, how to supercharge your study skills, and then, of course, building a plan for how to tackle finals. Um, we will also, in addition to having those workshops, we're also building a Canvas page where your student can go through some of these learning modules plus a little bit more, in a self-guided way, because sometimes we run out of like appointment times, or we run out of whatever, but I want to make sure that I'm being as accessible as possible and giving students as many options as they possibly need in order to reach support and to get support. Miles, the next slide, please. Um, if you want to take a moment and scan the QR code on your screen, we have a beginning of the semester checklist that you can take note of, and spend some time going through it with your student before you move in. I'll read the comments for a little bit while I give you a couple of seconds to do that. Um, we do limit how many students are in a group. We try to keep it manageable so that those students have an individualized experience even within the group. So yes, there is a limit. Academic support is always offered during the summer. We are about to go into summer session 2, and PASS is up and running. There are a few SI sessions happening, and the Writing Center is open, taking online appointments as well as e-appointments. Students can sign up for, so I'll go through that with your student during orientation. We actually will bring our laptops and the login page with us and show students how to log in. So you don't necessarily have to worry about that right now, but the Writing Center, Quant Support, and PASS all have appointments on a booking service we use called WC Online. And then for the academic coaches, they use the same booking system ask the advisors to keep that continuity there, because the academic coaches oftentimes will work very closely with the advisors. And that service is called You Can Book Me. Can I get the next slide? Then lastly, I'm here for you. I know I gave you a lot of information, but as I said before, no need to stress about it. You will see me again at Eagle orientation. I think I'm presenting between 3 and 6 o'clock on August 17th. And then that entire week, your student will go from orientation to orientation, orientation. And my team and I, we divide and conquer to make sure that your student has the same presentation each time. There are our email addresses. So feel free to reach out to me. If you want me specifically, I'll drop my my email in the chat. I didn't put it on there. But if you're just looking for general questions, then feel free to email one of those email addresses, and it can get to me either which way. But here goes mine in the chat. And that is my last slide. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brent Fisher, and I am the campus store manager, and I'm here to talk to you about the Eagle Access course materials program that is just starting and going to be brand new in the fall of 2025. Miles. So the Eagle Access program, here's the program website that's off the that's on the AU page. This is going to be your best resource for FAQs, contacts, all the update information on the program itself. I pulled about 90% of all of these slides from this website and this FAQ page. So if you're going to take anything from the next couple slides, definitely take this, that this is your best resource for all the up-to-date information on the Eagle Access program. So what is the Eagle Access program? No, it's not access if you get locked out of your dorm or something like that. I don't even know who you would call to do that, probably public safety, but that's for another talk for sure. But basically the Eagle Access course materials program is we're enabling students to save time and money by offering access to the required course materials at a reduced cost on or before the first day of class. Materials will be available for a flat fee or a per credit hour based on your enrollment. Miles. So, as I said, all required materials are delivered to the students prior to the first day of class. That includes all materials, ebooks, courseware, course packs, open resource materials, even faculty content are all included in this program. This program is a digital first program. Basically, that means that if there's 2 books available, either digital or the print book, we will try to source the digital book first. And the reason why we do that is because the digital books are much easier to get, as they will show up, excuse me, directly into Canvas. And the program is available for all students. All students are automatically opted into the program, but there is an opt-out period as well, and that is up to the add drop date. Miles. So just basically what it is why are we doing this is probably a better question. Well, the one of the reasons why we're doing this is because since we can get all these books for everyone at once, we're able to offer a low credit hour fee negotiated with the publishers for the lowest price available for the books. It also is highly convenient for you, whereas instead of you're going to this publisher for this book or this publisher for that book, and vice versa, and to this website and to that website, all the required materials are automatically integrated into Canvas, and required physical materials will be able to be picked up at the campus store or shipped out to you. We're pretty open about it. Students, faculty will find the program information shared on the website and in upcoming emails and on the program webpage, and I am plastering information about it all across campus as we speak. So once again, you're automatically enrolled in the program at the point of registration, and you can choose to remain in the program or opt out for a refund with no penalty each term. Miles. So just talk about the actual student experience. Once again, you're automatically enrolled at the point of registration. Required course materials are going to be prepared by us at the campus store well in time for classes. And then you will be provided the program information via email with the pricing, benefits, and how to access the materials. And once again, just talking a lot about the program in itself. You are automatically opted into it, but you can easily opt out of it, and you can do that up until the ad drop date. Just a basic timeline. One's first time registration for everyone, and then welcome emails and more program details about the program will be starting about 45 days prior to the start of classes. At this time, we're estimating at about the second week of July or so. And then when will you get your books? Well, digital books we can procure pretty fast, and those will be available in the Canvas probably about 2 to 3 weeks prior to the classes starting. And then once again, the physical books, we will have to physically get them in. So there will be a pickup time for those books at the campus store, and probably the welcome week, or even before, if we get the books in time. And then that also is available for if you're adding and dropping a class, like you add this class or drop that class, and then of course it's going to be different books. We should have those books available at that time as well. And the opt-out period does end at the end of the ad drop date. So once again, just to reiterate the fact that the program website is going to be your go-to place for up-to-date information, announcements, and the FAQs. I pulled all of this information from that website. You can also visit our support center that is off of our campus store website for additional support articles and self-help tools on, how do I upload, how do I get my book inside Canvas, and things like that. You can also come and see me in my second home at the campus store. There are experts like myself, well, probably just me right now, but there are experts. I'll be happy to assist you with any course material supply or merchandise needs. Or you can call us at the campus store, and we can assist with any other additional questions. I've talked about textbooks enough, so let's actually talk about the campus store a little bit. Welcome week hours are will be open all 7 days for welcome week, and probably even the week before. And then our general regular hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and we are open on Saturdays from 11 to 3. I talked about textbooks a lot, but I just want to let you know that we are more than just textbooks. We do everything from school supplies to backpacks to Apple products, to apparel, and all your tech accessories. We also accept Eagle Bucks for a form of payment. So you can come and spend your Eagle Bucks at the campus store if you so desire. And with that, I'll say welcome to AU. We also have acceptance celebration kits to help you celebrate the start of your academic journey. So with that, I will say welcome to AU, and thank you very much for your time.
All right, shall I jump in? This is everybody's favorite part of the webinar. thought I'd bat cleanup for us here. My name's Allison Thomas. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. I'm glad to meet you, or at least start a relationship with you. I'm the Assistant Dean for Academic Integrity, but I've also been on AU's faculty for, I will be starting my 19th year at AU this fall. I I've taught in the literature department in the American Studies program. I have taught in the writing studies program as well. And I'm talking to you today kind of in the context of the work that I do with academic integrity. And I'm going to tell you a lot of stuff. So like everyone's kind of given you a lot of things and said, you know, I'll see you again. I'll see you again. This will come up a million times. It definitely will. Oftentimes people will say, oh, but you're not going to be tested on this. And I would like you to know that you will be tested on this. And I don't mean I'm going to give you a test or I'm going to put a link in the chat and say, get 100 on this exam. Here's another hoop to jump into. Welcome to AU. But what I mean is that you will be tested to make responsible decisions and good choices in times where it's not as easy as maybe it will feel like when I show you some of my cartoonish looking slides. You'll be tested. Usually it's going to be like really late at night / early in the morning. It's going to be an hour or two before a project is due. It's going to be when your brain feels really foggy, like I don't even remember what this project is even about. It might be like a bag or two of Sour Patch Kids into your work, or a couple cups of coffee into your work. I think I'm really probably painting a picture of a sort of stress zone where nobody's really that optimized to make good decisions. So the reason I wanted to talk to you today, and the reason I'll keep talking to you, is to help you feel prepared. I want to introduce you to some of the ways these tests will come up and promise that we'll keep these conversations going. So my email address is on this first slide, athomas@american.edu. I've also put the web address for our academic integrity code. I'll talk a little bit about what's in there, but mostly what I want you to remember are some of the big picture things that I'm going to give you. Since it's summer, I'm kind of picturing like this time when I was little and I would go to the beach and pick up rocks and like put them in a bucket and carry my bucket of rocks around for the day. I'd like to give you some rocks to put in your bucket, and you're going to carry that with you, and I'll see you in your bucket of rocks in the fall. If we could go to the next slide, that'd be great. Miles, thanks. So some basic ideas about academic integrity. An introduction to the way we think about academic integrity at AU, because not all institutions think about academic integrity the same way. Not all institutions use the word academic integrity. Maybe your experience has been with the term honor code. At AU, we have an academic integrity code. So that term might be new. Our processes and our policies are going to be different. There's huge variation across higher education in how people talk about these ideas. So I want to introduce you to that. And then I want to give you some bits of advice that you can start. I want to give you some rocks to put in your bucket, some bits of advice that you can start collecting as you begin this journey. Next slide. I got my picture taken with Claude the Eagle last year. Sorry, Claude the Eagle last year. And it was like one of the highlights of my times at AU. So I try to include Claude on all of my slides. That's why Claude's here. In terms of our community and what academic integrity means in our community, it's really a shared commitment, that an agreement that we make, that you're here to earn your grades, and that work that you submit represents what you're capable of doing in a given moment. And as a faculty member myself, I can say what I want to do is give students authentic feedback on the work they submit. I want to help you grow. I want to help you develop. I want to help you learn. If what you're submitting is not representative of what you're capable of doing, and it's actually representative of like what your sister can do, or what your friend can do, or what someone you paid money on the internet to do, then you're disrupting all of the opportunities that you've created for yourself. I can't give you authentic feedback if we don't have that trust in our relationship. This also kind of bigger picture protects the value of your degree, right? If everybody is submitting work that's been done by their sister or a machine or somebody they pay with a credit card on the internet, then the value of AU's diploma goes down. And so it hurts all of us in the community if we're not all participating in our work with integrity. Next slide. So our academic integrity code is similar in some ways to other academic integrity codes, but particular. And I want to draw your attention to a few ways you'll encounter it right away. You'll see it, it'll come up in some of your orientation activities, but you'll definitely see it on your course syllabi. Every faculty member has some kind of statement about academic integrity and usually a link to the code where the code lives online. Most course syllabi will give you more specific information about how some of the things in the code apply to the work you'll be doing in that class. So computer science students, for example, will read some really particular material about what plagiarism means, for example, when using computer code. Courses where there's a lot of group work might be more focused on questions about responsible collaboration. You also are strongly encouraged to ask questions of all of your professors. I really hope that that's a big takeaway for you throughout all of your orientation. Like, make a friend, visit your professors, go to office hours. If you don't see an answer to your question in the materials you're getting, don't ask Google, don't ask ChatGPT. Email your professor and sit down with a human or email with a human to get answers to the questions you have. And then I have to tell you, because I think everyone should know, code violations are serious. The university is invested in the integrity of our degrees, and to maintain that community for everyone, we take academic integrity code violations really seriously. The most common violation, or the most common result, is a failing grade in the class, which certainly feels like a really big deal when it happens. Next slide. So here's what I want you to remember in terms of like big picture. I think about this as a sort of elevator speech. Like, I picture myself in an elevator and someone is standing on the other side and they're asking me to quickly explain what the academic integrity code says, and the elevator doors are like closing. So I don't have a ton of time, right? This is what I would say. I would say AU's academic integrity code says that students should be submitting work that's 100% their own, 100% of the time, done for the purpose of the assignment at hand. That's like the big basic picture. That means 100% your own, like done by you alone, unless you've acknowledged otherwise. Done by you alone, like not by a machine. Done in response to a specific assignment. So like not submitted to a high school class or to another class, unless you have permission to reuse your work. And then clear and attributing anything that's not yours. Usually that means citation. You may receive guidelines to attribute work in other ways, but any ideas, words, or work that isn't yours should be acknowledged in an appropriate way. That's sort of the big picture. These are the basics. We'll get into some of the nitty-gritty details. I have some for you now that I'll kind of speed through because I want you to meet them. But these are the specifics that you'll get into as you get into class and as you get into conversations during orientation. One of the things that you'll see in the academic integrity code is a set of definitions of sort of what violations are. And these terms are important because not everyone defines them the same way. At AU, we define plagiarism as the use of someone else's words or work as your own without appropriate acknowledgement or attribution. This also includes misrepresentation. So like if you take someone's idea and you don't say where you got it, if you take someone's words and you don't say where you got it, if you say something came from somewhere and it isn't there, these are all issues that comprise plagiarism. Remember that work can be defined broadly too, that translation is work, that note-taking is work, that editing and proofreading can be work. And so those are things that you want to attribute or acknowledge appropriately as well. Inappropriate collaboration comes up when students work together and they're not allowed to work together, or they're working together so closely that we can't differentiate whose work is whose. We can't give each individual student credit for the work that's their own. You should always assume that your work should be individual unless your professor gives you other kinds of guidelines. And if you have questions about when it's okay to work with other students and when it's not, you should always ask. And in classes where there's lots of collaborative work, you should get specific guidelines about how to work together responsibly. Usually it's not, I'm going to email my essay to my friend. Usually it's not, I'm going to text a photo of my problem set to my friend. Usually it's conversational and it's not typing and talking. That's usually what responsible collaboration looks like. Next slide. This one's actually something that comes up in questions a lot from students, because this is a little, people think of academic integrity as just sort of plagiarism, and people are sort of like, well, it's my work, and so why do I have, what's the big deal? And this is really a way that academic integrity is bigger and broader than just plagiarism. Academic integrity is about the authenticity of the relationship you have with your professor. Your professor is giving you feedback based on your abilities in this moment as represented in the work. So if you're submitting work you did a year ago in my class and I evaluate that work, I'm not evaluating what you're capable of now. I'm evaluating what you were capable of a year ago. That's a really wasted opportunity for you to get feedback from me in this moment to help you move forward. So anytime you're thinking about this, like legitimately, you may have work that you're super into it. You've been doing research on a topic for a while, or you've been obsessed with this one idea for across many projects. That's awesome. I think that's really important and exciting. But you should talk to your professor about how to incorporate that past work responsibly. That guidance is super, super important, especially as you progress in your studies. You get to a point where you have a major, where you maybe are working on a capstone, where you're going to engage really deeply with topics and research in the same area. Getting guidance from your professor about how to revisit work that you've already submitted is really important. Next slide. Dishonesty exams in our code is defined in the way that you probably think when you think of cheating in the most traditional, like old school sense. I wrote it on my hand, I sat down, and then I wrote it on a test. I looked over at my friend's work. It's not a test where I'm allowed to do that. Most tests make the assumption that most exams are closed book. Unless your professor says they're not closed book, assume they are. That means you can't use notes, you can't use resources, you can't look at anybody else's work. All your work should be 100% your own. If a professor gives you other guidelines, that's great. You should know them. You should ask questions about them if you are confused about any of it. This also includes help tools. You heard about some of the amazing resources that AU has for helping students, and I love that Nisha and emphasized that they are free to you. I'm often shocked when I hear students say they're paying for tutoring or help services offsite. If you are thinking of doing that, my first advice is look on campus for our awesome support services that are free to you. And then the second is, if you think you need a tutor that's not at AU and you're thinking of paying someone, you should talk to your professor about it before you do it. The same is true with other help tools. Your idea of help and what's helpful may not be the same as your professor. So if you have a tool that you're used to using or that you like using, my advice would be visit your professor during office hours and say, hey, I'm really used to using this tool. Is this cool? Is this a good idea? Will this help me in this class? A lot of students like to use tools like Grammarly, for example. I would absolutely talk to your professor if Grammarly is a tool you like using. If I am your professor, I would like to know that's a tool you like using, and I want to see how you're using it. And I want you to tell me a little bit about your process. A lot of professors may or may not know some of these tools. They may not be familiar with some of the tools that you use. So it's really helpful for you to initiate that conversation about what tools are helpful for you, and maybe get some insights on other tools that could be useful down the road. Next slide. Fabrication of data is the last one that I'll mention. And this in our code is defined as invention or distortion or falsification. Basically, these are all versions of like things that are submitted in academic work that aren't real, things that don't exist. So maybe it's a citation that when we try to find the journal or the publication or the newspaper or the magazine, it doesn't exist. We can't find the article. The article is never published. This writer didn't write this thing. This has become really common for us because these are oftentimes fake citations are the result of generative AI hallucinations. And so this is something to be aware of and to think about in terms of the work that you're submitting. You're responsible for everything you submit with your name on it. So if you're using generative AI to come up with research and you slap a few citations in a paper and they don't exist, you own those. So think about how you're using those tools. Talk to your professors about how you're using those tools. Sometimes they're not advisable, and it's really useful to kind of get a better sense of how some of these tools work and what kind of risks you're taking before you engage with them. Next slide. I wanted to specifically mention AI and academic integrity. I imagine that many of you have had some experiences with generative AI. We've talked to lots of students on our campus. Some students are sort of like, hooray, I can't wait to use these tools all the time. They are so powerful and interesting and great. And some students are like, I do not want that in my face. Get that out of my face. And then there are some students who've had real journeys with the tools that are powered by AI. So like I used to hate it, and then I loved it, and then I loved it a little too much, and now I'm off of it. And so there's just been a real wide range of conversations we've had about this. My bottom line on AI and academic integrity, because I will say our academic integrity code does not ban the use of AI. However, you will have the difficult task of recognizing that every policy in each class is going to be a little bit different. In some classes, it will be okay to use generative AI. In some classes, it'll be okay to use it in some ways, except for some things. And in many classes, it will not be okay at all. My big picture advice is if you're supposed to be learning from something, don't offload it to a machine. Don't substitute machine generated work for work that should be your own, right? That connects back to what I told you about the big picture of academic integrity. 100% your own, 100% of the time. So if it's supposed to be generated by you, generate it from your brain to the page. If there are times where it might make sense to offload it to a machine, that's when you want to consult with your professor, or you want to look into the guidelines that your professor has given you about what's okay to offload to a machine and what's not. Next slide. My advice in each class is like, if you're not getting specific guidelines or advice, number one, ask in every class. If you don't see it on the page, if it hasn't been brought up in class, ask. But the default assumption is that using generative AI tools is not permitted. That's like what I would go in with as sort of, this is the assumption that I'm making unless I get other guidance, unless I get other instructions. In general, professors are not expecting students to use AI unless they say otherwise. Remember, you're responsible for work you submit with your name on it. You should read the syllabus for every class. That's advice, academic integrity focused and other focus. Always ask questions about what kind of help is okay. Be specific about the tools that you'd like to use. Ask your instructor before using those tools. Next slide. So to summarize some of my advice here, stay focused on your learning goals. Learning means making the most of mistakes. So again, submitting 100% work that's 100% your own 100% of the time sometimes means that like it's not perfect work. It's not polished, or it's not as good as maybe you want it to be. That's okay. Your mistakes are really important moments for learning. They're really important zones. Discomfort and things taking a long time are often really important parts of the learning process. So being efficient sometimes is the less important objective. Sometimes taking a long time and being uncomfortable is where the learning is going to happen. Make sure you read the code, read what's in it, take advantage of opportunities you have to talk about it and to ask questions about it of your professors. And in occasions like this, keep track of your work, your organization skills. Nisha Ann mentioned kind of getting ahead of concerns by setting up meetings and times to engage with support services often and early. Develop habits for staying organized and keeping track of your work. I can't emphasize that enough. Using those AU support tools and resources whenever you can, especially for things like organization. Next slide, I think is the end. Yay, I will see you on on campus, like I'm not actually sitting out on the quad, but I do like sitting out on the quad actually in this very spot. And I feel like we will have some fall days where there's like cool looking sunsets like this. I hope I will see you there. If you see me on campus, give me a wave. I'm usually like in a line for coffee. If you have a question for me, you can always email me at athomas@american.edu. You will probably see me and or other people from my office before you start and after. And I'll also make a note that I made my slides myself, but I used Canva's Magic Designer for all of my images and graphics. All the language here and all the choices I made are my own. Nice to see you all. I can't wait to see you in real life. Thanks for having me.
Allison, you mentioned coffee. Bridge or Dav?
This is really hard. I'm usually in Battelle, so Bridge was like my first space, but the Dav is open all summer. So Dav has my heart right now.
The bridge is open now,
There
so
it
you can
is.
check it
it?
out.
Yeah, my
Yes.
son
Okay.
works there, Allison.
Oh, then I'm gonna have to divide. I'm gonna have to divide my loyalties.
And if you don't know about the coffee spots, you'll learn about them. All right. I believe that is the end of the PowerPoint. At this time, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to pause the recording or stop it